Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, thank you. I never believed one sentence could erase a life. Not a fight. Not betrayal. Just a single comment said casually over dinner that cracked something so deep it never healed. I still replay it sometimes, wondering if things would be different if the room had been louder, if someone had laughed, if my husband hadn't gone so quiet afterward. My name is Eliza Moore, 38. And until one evening last fall, I thought I knew the man I married. My husband, Rowan, wasn't dramatic. He wasn't loud or attention-seeking. He was the kind of man people overlooked in a room, until they actually needed something done. He listened more than he spoke. He remembered small details. He fixed things without making a show of it. That was part of what drew me to him. He felt steady. Like someone who wouldn't disappear. We'd been married 11 years. The dinner party wasn't special. Just a few couples, good wine, familiar faces. Friends from work. Friends of friends. The kind of evening where conversations overlap and no one really says anything that matters. Rowan almost didn't want to go. He'd had a long week, said he was tired. Convinced him. It'll be good to get out, I told him. I wish I hadn't. First, everything was normal. Rowan stayed mostly quiet, answering when spoken to, smiling politely. He sat beside me, his knee brushing mine under the table. I remember that because it was the last time he touched me without hesitation. Halfway through dinner, someone asked how we met. I told the story I always tell. How we'd been set up by a mutual friend. How Rowan showed up early and waited even though I was late. People laughed. Someone teased him for being patient. I smiled, warm with nostalgia. Then Caleb, one of the hosts, raised his glass and said, "Well, Eliza definitely married the safe option." It wasn't said cruelly. More like an offhand joke. A throwaway line meant to get a chuckle. And it did. Few people laughed. Someone added, "Nothing wrong with safe." Laughed too. I didn't notice Rowan at first. I didn't notice how his shoulders stiffened, how his smile froze just a second too long. I didn't notice because the room kept moving, the conversation rolling forward like nothing had happened. But something had. If you've ever been in a room where the energy shifts and no one else seems to feel it, you know how unsettling that is. Rowan didn't say a word. He didn't defend himself. He didn't joke back. He just went quiet in a way I hadn't seen before. Not tired quiet. Not bored quiet. Empty quiet. If this moment already feels familiar to you, tap the like button. Helps this story reach people who may need to hear it. On the drive home, I tried to fill the silence. I mentioned the food, the wine, a funny story someone told. Rowan kept his eyes on the road. His hands were tight on the steering wheel. Finally I said, "Hey, you okay?" He nodded. Too quickly. That should have been my cue to stop talking. But I didn't. I said lightly, "Caleb's an idiot." You know he didn't mean anything by it. Rowan didn't respond. At home he went straight to the shower. I sat on the edge of the bed, replaying the night, trying to understand why my chest felt tight. When he came out he didn't look at me. He lay down facing the wall. "Rowan," said. Nothing. That night. He slept like someone who had already left. Over the next few days, things changed in subtle ways that were easy to ignore if you didn't want to see them. He stopped lingering in the kitchen in the mornings. Stopped texting during the day. Conversations became practical. Necessary. Me. I told myself it was stress. That men process things differently. That I was overthinking. But there's a difference between space and absence. One evening I finally asked him what was wrong. He looked at me for a long moment before speaking. And when he did, his voice was calm in a way that scared me. "Do you really think I'm safe?" he asked. I laughed again. Nervous this time. "What does that even mean?" He looked down. "It means forget it. Pause here and tell me in the comments. Have you ever laughed something off only to realize later it mattered more than you thought?" After that he began sorting through things. Quietly. Methodically. Not throwing anything away. Just organizing. His books, old files, even the garage. It was like watching someone prepare without announcing what they were preparing for. One night, I asked him if he was planning something. He met my eyes and said, "I'm just trying to understand where I fit." That sentence stayed with me. If you're still reading and this story is hitting closer than expected, comment the word silence. I want to know how many people recognize this feeling. I didn't realize then that the dinner party wasn't the beginning of the end. It was just the moment I stopped noticing how close the end already was. The night Rowan left, there was no argument. No slammed doors. No dramatic confession. That was the cruel part. If he had shouted, I might have fought back. If he had accused me, I might have defended myself. But he did neither. I woke up just after 3 in the morning to the sound of the front door closing. First I thought I was dreaming. The house felt too still. Too quiet. I sat up, my heart already racing, and listened. No footsteps. No engine. Just silence. "Rowan!" called. Nothing. I walked through the house barefoot, each room confirming what I already knew. His side of the bed untouched. Closet missing half its hangers. His toothbrush gone. His work boots missing from the mat by the door. On the kitchen counter, there was a single envelope with my name on it. Inside was no explanation. Just a short note, written neatly, deliberately. "Liza, I need to disappear for a while. Not to punish you. Not to hurt you. But because staying would erase what's left of me. Please don't look for me. R." I sat on the floor and read it 3 times before it made sense. I tried calling him. Straight to voicemail. Texted. Nothing. I called his brother. His brother hadn't heard from him. Called friends. No one knew anything. His truck was gone. His email inactive. Even his social accounts were silent, like he'd stepped out of the world entirely. Days passed. Then weeks. People kept asking how I was holding up. I gave the same answer every time. I don't know. It was the only honest thing I had left. At night, I replayed the dinner party over and over. That sentence. The safe option. I wondered how many times Rowan had swallowed words like that before. How many jokes. How many assumptions. How many moments where he felt invisible while everyone else laughed. If this part of the story made you feel something heavy, consider sharing it. Someone else might recognize themselves here before it's too late. A month later, I received an email from an address I didn't recognize. It was from Rowan. He didn't apologize. He didn't accuse. He just explained. He wrote about growing up being told he was reliable, steady, not exciting but dependable. About how he learned early that praise often meant being useful, not valued. About how he thought marriage meant being chosen, fully, finally. And then he wrote the sentence that broke me. When they laughed, and you laughed too, I realized I had mistaken comfort for love. I wanted to argue with that. To tell him he was wrong. That I loved him. That I chose him every day. But the truth is, I had never corrected the narrative. I had never spoken up for him. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't think I needed to. That's the part people don't talk about. How damage doesn't always come from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from silence. Rowan never told me where he went. Only that he was somewhere quiet. Somewhere he could hear his own thoughts again. Somewhere no one needed him to be safe. At this point in the story, I want to ask you something. Do you think words spoken as jokes can permanently change how someone sees themselves? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. I don't know if we'll ever reconcile. I don't even know if that's what I want anymore. What I do know is that I listen differently now. I notice who gets labeled, who gets minimized, who gets praised in ways that quietly shrink them. The last message Rowan sent me was short. I don't hate you. I just can't disappear inside someone else again. That was months ago. People still ask if he'll come back. I tell them I don't know. And for the first time that answer doesn't terrify me. Because whether he returns or not, something in me changed too. I learned that love isn't proven by endurance alone. It's proven by presence. By defense. by choosing someone not just privately but out loud. If you've ever felt unseen in a relationship, or realized too late that someone else did, comment the word seen. Let's acknowledge it together. And if there's one thing I hope this story leaves you with, it's this. Pay attention to the quiet moments, the jokes that land wrong, the smiles that fade too quickly. Sometimes what disappears isn't a person. It's the version of them that felt safe enough to stay. If this story resonated with you, please like, comment with your perspective, and subscribe for more real human stories about relationships, choices, and consequences. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most.